Good evening and welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex. Lord, the Braves take on the Marlins home opener. I put on the jacket. We haven't worn the jacket this season. Maybe it means
that's what.
Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it is
your fault.
You know what? I'll wear it the entire weekend if they win tonight. If not, we burn it live on the show Monday. But I was like sitting in bed sleeping yesterday. I had this thing, and it's like, is it possible that this, and is it too early to say that this is already the biggest week of the regular season? And hear me out. I know it's early, but you got the Marlins coming to town. You got Spencer Schwellenbach on the mound. Like, you got to win that series. You got to start getting something going. And then you got the Phillies coming to town. And listen, I know it's early, but the Phillies are 5.5 games up on you. Like, you gotta at the very least sweep the Marlins, even if you lose track. You gotta like do something here, right? At worst 3-3, but you really need to go 4-2 or hopefully better 5-1 and 6-0. And then you throw into all that mix Spencer Strider also towing the rubber. So huge day today for the Braves with Spencer Strider pitching just down the road at Truist Park. So within a 20-mile radius, you got two big things. And how he ends up, and God forbid everything goes well, and that could be his last start. I think the Braves want to give him 2 more. But depending on how Bryce Elder looks, if Spencer Strider can get up to 75 pitches, they might just say, hey, your last rehab start is going to be in the majors. Like, we'll get you up to 85, 90, and we'll take you out. Like, they could consider doing something. Ideally, I think they want 2 more starts. But if he goes out there and he's fantastic, we could see him even sooner than that. I just think there's so many things here coming off that 0-7 stretch, and you got a team like the Marlins coming in, and it feels kind of like a playoff series. Like, you cannot lose this. Like, you can't lose. I know it's crazy, but you cannot lose this series. Like, the fans are going to be juiced. I mean, it's going to be an incredible atmosphere for all 3 days at Truist Park. You're able to kind of like wash everything, go into this series fresh, everything that happened this past week, wash it out of your brains, and go out there and win a playoff series and treat it. And frankly, you got 8 series left. You got 8 series left in this month. You win all 8 of them, which is a tall task. You're over 500. So
we won't even be talking about this 0-7.
It just needs to be like everything from this point for the rest of this month needs to be like series by series by series.
Urgency is not a word that Braves fans are really familiar with until about June. At least in my lifetime. Generally speaking, there's really no reason to sound the alarms outside of the month of June or even July, really. And this is a first. And it's a first because the expectations, an Atlanta Braves team has started worse. I had some idiot on Twitter being like, oh, you weren't born in the 80s. Well, first of all, sorry. It's not my fault when I was, born. But also, those 80s teams, while, I don't know for sure.
They sucked.
They sucked. They didn't have expectations of the expectations in Atlanta is we're making the playoffs. That wasn't even like a thought that we weren't going to make the playoffs. We were expecting to challenge for a World Series. That's why everybody is, the sky is falling, the stock market is crashing, like the world is burning in Atlanta right now. And that's why everybody's kind of freaking out. But you did something that I thought was really, really interesting. And I forget who tweeted it, but you did
CJ Nitkowski.
He did. You did an article on it. Go check it out, sportstalkatl.com, that no team has ever made the playoffs after an 0-7 start. Obviously that's a huge deal. There's a couple of circumstances that have to kind of be understood. That goes back to when the playoffs were much smaller. Now nearly half the clubs make the postseason. Even more, there's 85 different teams that have made the playoffs after an 0-7 stretch. Not an 0-7 start, but an 0-7 stretch at any point during the season. So I think that's what Braves fans should hang their hats on, because this is still a very talented ball club. There's a lot of baseball left, 155 games to be exact. So while I do think this is a very important week, urgency is now in our vocabulary in the 3rd series of the season, which is not usual for us. I wouldn't be, even if the Braves, I would be a little concerned if we went 1-2 this weekend, but I don't think that's going to happen. We go 2-3, even if Strider doesn't look great, but he still feels good. I'm okay right now. I've calmed down after the 0-6, after the 0-7 start.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I think in terms of the divisional race, I mean, that's
different.
Yeah. Like,
I almost want to, I'm not giving up on it because, again, there's too many games left. We haven't even played. This is our first divisional matchup, but my eyes are just, we got to make the playoffs. And as we saw, you get in the playoffs, you got a shot.
Yeah, but as I said, the National League loaded, and and I didn't even mention when I went on all the national teams, like the Giants have improved. Like there are a lot of good baseball teams in this league, so it's not going to be easy, and including this division. And I look at the Phillies and the start that they've got. You don't want to get in a 7 or 8 game hole in this division. With a team like Phillies who just won the division leading the way, and you know that they have a lot of confidence with the way that they have played, especially the Braves, over the last several seasons.
Well, I think that's important because you're talking about a completely different situation than we talked about a few years ago when we were 10.5 games back of the New York Mets. Confidence was still there at that moment because, in my opinion, the Mets, they sucked then, they suck now. I'm still, I know where, glass or don't throw stones in a glass house if you're the Atlanta Braves, but I still think that the Atlanta Braves will make the postseason, the New York Mets won't. And the difference is this Phillies team is actually really good, really damn good. So if you do dig that hole, it will be significantly harder to dig yourself out of compared to that 10.5 game deficit they did a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, and the best way to dig yourself out of holes like that is to beat them. To beat them head to head, And so I think that's important. I think this Marlins series is so important because of the way. So I just think the combination of those series, like the importance that they have, the head-to-head matchup with the Phillies, which are probably going to determine whether you can come back and win this division, and then the Marlins just being the team that you beat the hell up out of every single year, coming off an 0-7 West Coast road trip in the home opener, like. If you it's going to be worrisome if you can't take care of business, lock in and take care of business against a team that you have owned in the past, and then combine that with Spencer Strider coming back and his potential. Yeah, I mean it's a massive week, and I just think a lot of things could go wrong, a lot of things could go right. But in terms of the playoff picture, you look at it. You're 4 games back in the wild card. If we were 4 games back in June, we'd all be like, "Oh, we still got plenty of time." Well, we got 155 games. So if we're talking about the actual playoff picture, there's absolutely no reason to panic. In that tweet, CJ Nikowski tweeted the 2023 World Series matchup, the Diamondbacks and the Texas Rangers, and he was calling games for the Texas Rangers, so he saw it up close. Each of them had a win streak of 8 and 9 games. So those are the 2 teams in the World Series. So it's because it happens right now, but it's actually better to happen right now than in August or June or July or any other month because you got so much time.
Yeah, and I think this weekend's going to be absolutely electric. If I could be in the building, I probably would be. I still might go. We've got to do some errands for the old girlfriend, soon-to-be fiance. Don't check it out, Aaron. But I think that it's going to be absolutely electric. We own the Marlins. This is kind of the perfect, cupcake after an absolutely brutal West Coast trip. The West Coast trip from hell. That was a 2025 season. That's Brave season. 2025 season starts today. That was a 2024 season. Excuse me. Braves 2025 season starts this weekend with the Marlins, a team we've absolutely owned. They suck. They still suck this year.
I'll tell you one thing though. Those bats better. I mean, the one thing that the Marlins have is an underrated starting pitching, an underrated rotation. So they're not going to get. It's not as good as San Diego or Los Angeles, but it's underrated. It's in the top half of the league. So those bats,
I think we're going to be mashing. Matt Olson, I feel like
those bats better wake up. Is all I'm saying.
I feel like we're going to be mashing.
Spencer Schwellenbach's great. Max Myers, who was on the mound against him today night, very, very, very good pitcher. So hey, listen. I hope they mash
7 runs.
All I'm saying, though, is these bats, it's time to wake up, guys. Those are not some scrubs on the other side that are on the mound. But hopefully the Braves can get going. We got more talk coming up after the break.